Miriam Margolyes is probably best known as the cute little old lady who played Professor Sprout in Harry Potter, so why did Arnold Schwarzenegger intentionally fart in her face? 1988's Rain Man cleaned up at the Oscars, taking home 4 awards including Best Picture. For his portrayal of Raymond Babbitt, the savant brother to Tom Cruise's Charlie, Dustin Hoffman took home the Best Actor in the Leading Role trophy, his second time winning the award. In an interview with Esquire, Hoffman shared his thoughts on why Rain Man was such a hit, using one particular scene as an example. You take the laughs out of Rain Man and it's not the same movie. When we're in the phone booth and I fart, that was a fart. That wasn't written in the script. We were waiting to do the shot and Barry Levinson had the earphones on. The door closed and I snuck one out. We're tight in there, you know? And Cruise looked at me and said, "Did you fart?" And I said, "Yeah, but I stayed in character."
Oh, fart.
Yeah, Charlie Babbitt, I'll hold.
Fart.
Did you fart, Ray?
Fart.
Levinson heard the whole thing and found it hilarious. So Hoffman's fart made the final cut. Hoffman said, "That's a good director. Someone who takes advantage of accident."
Can you stand that?
I don't mind it.
How can you stand it?
Saturday Night Live icon Kate McKinnon has moved on to the big screen in films like the 2023 mega hit Barbie. One of her breakthrough roles was in the 2016 reboot of Ghostbusters. Although the film failed to excel at the box office, it still allowed McKinnon to humorously chew scenery with fellow SNL alums Leslie Jones and Kristen Wiig. It should come as no surprise that the trio, along with Melissa McCarthy, brought a whole lot of laughs to the Ghostbusters set. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, McKinnon owned up to being a tad gassy while shooting. "Alright, whatever, I farted on camera. I'm starting to think something is wrong with me. I've never been to a gastroenterologist because to me it's always been normal. But I'm starting to feel like it's too much, and I ought to get it checked out." Parks and Recreation may have experienced a shaky start, but after 7 seasons and a prestigious Golden Globe win, it's safe to say that the show ended up being a massive success. With a cast including comedic geniuses like Chris Pratt, Amy Poehler, Aubrey Plaza, and Nick Offerman, how could it not be? In March 2019, the cast reunited in Hollywood for Paley Fest to celebrate the show's 10-year anniversary. While answering questions, Aubrey Plaza disclosed which cast member made her favorite noises. "That is so annoying because Nick and Pratt used to fart all the time, and it would make Amy and I really angry." It may seem odd to hear Chris Pratt, now known for his big blockbuster movies, be so open about his flatulence, but it sounds just about right for his character Andy Dwyer.
He sneezed and smacked his head against the wall.
That sounds about right.
Most actors who break wind on set do so by mistake. However, that wasn't the case when Outer Banks star Madelyn Cline let out a toot on the set of the hit show, as she did it on purpose. The actor and her co-star Austin North were prepping for her first on-screen romantic encounter, and she thought that the best way to ease the palpable tension in the air was by letting one rip. Cline said in an interview with Vogue, "We didn't really know each other that well at that point, and we hadn't really spent too much time hanging out yet. To break the ice, we were sitting in the green room, Austin and I, twiddling our thumbs and trying to make conversation, and I could tell that he was nervous and I knew he could tell I was nervous. So I just farted in front of him." North retreated to a corner of the room to escape the fart, but he apparently found the whole thing hilarious. Samuel L. Jackson and Brie Larson evidently developed quite a bond during their time together on the sets of various movies. The duo, who first worked together on the set of Kong Skull Island back in late 2015, co-starred in Captain Marvel and in Larson's feature-length directorial debut, Unicorn Store, on Netflix. Jackson told reporters during a set visit, "We're very good friends, we work well together. It's fun to be on the saddle with her." On James Corden's Carpool Karaoke, Jackson and Larson each took turns taking a polygraph test, and Larson received a shocking answer after asking Jackson if he'd ever farted while filming a scene.
All the time.
What?
Digging in, Larson followed up by asking if he farted while they were doing the lie detector test. Jackson responded that he did not, but the polygraph declared otherwise. Kristen Schaal, the side-splitting Emmy nominee who voices Louise Belcher in Bob's Burgers, is no stranger to funny business. With a resume chock full of small roles in some of the world's most prestigious comedies, Schaal has really made a name for herself in Hollywood over the past decade. In Fox's The Last Man on Earth, Schaal and fellow comic Will Forte played 2 of the last humans in a post-apocalyptic world. Naturally, hilarity ensues. So does farting. On Late Night with Seth Meyers, Schaal revealed that preparation for a love scene, combined with a scene that required her to eat a copious amount of beans, had an unplanned result. Carol is aggressively and sexually talking to Phil. That's a lot of diaphragm work, which is also in the danger zone of where the beans are. Finally, I just looked at Will and I was like, "I'm gonna fart on you," and I did.
After doing the nasty, I need to have some beans.
Showing no shame whatsoever, Schaal only backed up her stinky action with pride.
If you fart on your scene partner, it's the most intimate you can get.
Yeah.
The late André the Giant, who sadly died in 1993, truly lived up to his name. The French wrestler was a mountain of a man, standing 7'4" and weighing in at an astounding 500 pounds. Although he was best known for his work in the ring, André did also play parts in a few movies and television shows. Perhaps his most recognized role was that of Fezzik in 1987's The Princess Bride, starring alongside the likes of Carrie Elwes, Robin Wright, and Mandy Patinkin. André gave his co-stars copious stories from their time shared on set, such as reportedly racking up a $40,000 bar tab at his hotel. While speaking to Sports Talk Florida in 2014, Elwes shared another André story that surely had fans in stitches. "My first day working with André the Giant, he didn't finish his line. He barely got through and he let out the most extraordinary giant mammoth fart that you've ever heard in your whole life. I mean, a 15-second emission of gas. The set rumbled. Everyone thought it was like an earthquake."
It was so insanely loud. I mean, imagine a giant's fart. And we all got tinnitus from it.
It's gotta be intimidating for a young actor to share the screen with one of the world's biggest stars. Such is the conundrum that James McAvoy found himself in 2007 while shooting the bullet-bending action flick Wanted. His co-star Angelina Jolie had been named Esquire magazine's sexiest woman in 2004, and had already taken home an Oscar for her role in 2000's Girl Interrupted. By contrast, McAvoy had only a few roles under his belt at that time, as his 2007 breakthrough Atonement hadn't yet hit theaters when Wanted began filming. In order to beef up and look the part of an action hero, producers had McAvoy take muscle gain supplements. Speaking to Cosmopolitan, the actor revealed that the supplements had quite a nasty downside. To be fair, it really helped, but it came with a massive side effect of me violently farting. It was so often and so vigorous, I couldn't stop. When I was filming, I was by far the biggest farter in Hollywood. That's probably not the impression you want to make when shooting scenes with one of the sexiest women alive. Before he became a teenage heartthrob for his portrayal of Peter Malark in the Hunger Games series, Josh Hutcherson nabbed a small part in Robert Zemeckis' imaginative 2004 Christmas film The Polar Express, starring Tom Hanks. Via motion capture, Hutcherson played a young boy who was struggling to recover his belief in Santa Claus. Hanks played a slew of parts in the movie, including that of a hobo. At one point in the film, Hutcherson's character skis down the top of the train with the hobo, meaning that Hutcherson, fully garbed in the necessary mocap dots, basically sat on Hanks' lap to shoot the scene. In late 2017, over a decade after the film's theatrical release, Hutcherson went on The Late Late Show with James Corden to show a behind-the-scenes tidbit about the production that no one knew. "I farted in the scene. It happened. I did it. My first big movie, Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis, and I just farted in his face."
And instead of playing it cool, Tom Hanks is like, whoa, oh my God, this kid, what the heck?
Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings trilogy took years to make, with the cast and crew relocating to New Zealand for most of it. Elijah Wood spent 16 months in the scenic country during the filming of the hit trilogy, and some of that time, he was farting. In 2023, Wood revealed on the popular YouTube series Hot Ones, it was the first day of filming, day one. The scene is we are rolling down the hill after Merry and Pippin run into us, running away from Farmer Maggot's field having stolen a bunch of vegetables. They bang into us, we roll down the hill. The hobbits end up in a heap at the bottom of the hill, piled on top of each other. It's a funny scene, but the biggest laugh that day didn't come from the comical tumble. I had a concussion fart? A fart that is brought on by pressure. Everybody burst out laughing. It's a hell of a way to start filming Lord of the Rings. Action superstar Arnold Schwarzenegger has fronted some memorable movies over the years, but he has also had his share of forgettable pictures, including the supernatural thriller End of Days. The most notable thing about this 90s flop is that it spawned a bizarre story about Arnie intentionally farting in the face of a co-star. The victim of said fart was Miriam Margolyes, best known for playing Professor Sprout in the Harry Potter films. The actor is known for speaking her mind, and that's exactly what she did when she was a guest on the podcast I've Got News for You. Schwarzenegger didn't care for him. He's a bit too full of himself. He farted in my face. Now, I fart, of course I do, but I don't fart in people's faces. He did it deliberately, right in my face. To add insult to injury, it wasn't even a situation that Margolyes could get away from. They were in the middle of a scene when the incident took place, and she was trapped. She explained, "I was playing Satan's sister and this character was killing me, so He had me in a position where I couldn't escape, lying on the floor, and he just farted. Whoopi Goldberg is one of the few people who have won the EGOT, as she has taken home an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. One of her daytime Emmy Awards came in 2009 for co-hosting The View, on which she became a fixture. In 2023, Whoopi made waves when what sounded like a fart was heard on the set of the talk show, for which she apologized. But co-host Sunny Harston later confirmed that this particular noise was actually made by someone's mug scraping against the table, and Goldberg was just joking around when she said sorry. It was all too believable though, because Whoopi has done it before.
Excuse me.
In fact, the name Whoopi actually comes from how much she farts. Yes, it's true. Goldberg, whose real name is Karen Johnson, told the New York Times in 2006 that she chose her stage name due to her prodigious farting. When you're performing on stage, you never really have time to go into the bathroom and close the door. So if you get a little gassy, you've got to let it go. So people used to say to me, "You are like a whoopee cushion," and that's where the name came from.
If you can't handle a fart, you can't handle me.
Tom Hanks, a man who has been affectionately called America's Dad, is one of the most well-respected actors of the past 30-plus years. The two-time Oscar winner just carries himself in a way that makes him nearly impossible to dislike. And for the most part, his movies are very successful. One of his top-grossing films, 2006's The Da Vinci Code, made over $760 million worldwide. But the real holy grail of that movie was a pretty humorous behind-the-scenes story that happened during production. In an interview with Yahoo, Paul Bettany, who plays the film's main antagonist, shed some light on what can happen if you punch Tom Hanks too hard on camera. The first time I punched him during the first scene I was on set for doing the Da Vinci Code, I punched him and he farted. Hanks just looked at me and said, "You just made me fart. Isn't that funny?" I loved him for that. These days, Sarah Chalke is best known for providing the voice of Beth Smith, Morty's perpetually annoyed mother in Rick and Morty. But before that, she played Dr. Elliot Reed on Scrubs for nearly a decade. And during that time, she farted. In 2023, Chalke was a guest on Zach Braff and Donald Faison's podcast, Fake Doctors, Real Friends, where Chalke detailed the incident, which took place while she and Braff were preparing for a kissing scene. We're standing there, like over in the corner, and they're about to say, "rolling," and I may or may not have farted. Zach just made the biggest deal anyone could possibly make over somebody farting. I think he made a song and there was some clapping involved in it. In 2009, Will Ferrell and Anna Friel starred in Universal's big-screen reboot of the 70s TV show Land of the Lost, a dinosaur-themed adventure series for kids. During filming, it turns out there was a lot of farting going on, and it wasn't all from Will Ferrell. In a 2017 interview with the Portable Infinite, Friel explained that a bout of gassiness left her embarrassed until Ferrell decided to play along. "I was drinking all these organic drinks and they gave me gas. It was uncomfortable for a few days. Then Will Ferrell told me he was building up some gas and he had one coming. He farted for more than 10 seconds and it was a gentlemanly thing to do. After that, everything was fine." Star Trek fans have been organizing conventions for more than 50 years, with dedicated gatherings happening all around the world. At an appearance celebrating their years on Star Trek Voyager, Garrett Wang, Tim Russ, and Robert Picardo discussed farts in The Final Frontier. As Wang put it, "Fart wars went on the Voyager set. It turns out one of the biggest offenders was co-star Robert Duncan McNeil, who engaged in an ongoing fart battle with Russ." Picardo said, "I used to refer to Tim as the man, the myth, the methane. According to Russ, he was simply countering other people's farts with his own. I had to defend myself. I am the tactical officer after all." When it comes to awkward moments, passing gas in front of all your co-workers while on the job is right up there. But for Spider-Man No Way Home actor Tom Holland, it was even worse, because the co-worker he tooted in front of was also his girlfriend, Zendaya, who plays Spider-Man's love interest, MJ. Worse still, it wasn't just in front of her, it was while he was strapped to her. Holland recounted the incident during a group Sirius XM interview with Zendaya and fellow co-star Jacob Batalon.
Yeah, I farted.
No one did you?
Yeah, I farted on you, unfortunately, yeah. It's tough, the suit's tight, the harness squeezes it out.
According to the actor, the incident occurred while filming one of the movie's high-flying stunts, where Spider-Man grabs MJ and goes for a swing. Suspended by wires, there was really nowhere to go, and no way to get away from the fart. For Zendaya, it wasn't a situation she could ignore or brush off.
Sorry about that.
Graciously, Holland didn't try to hide it, quickly confessing and apologizing. Of course, trying to deflect blame in that situation would have been fruitless. It's a superhero movie equivalent to someone breaking wind in an elevator when there's only one other person there. You can plead ignorance, but you both know the truth. Ricky Gervais is one of the most celebrated comedians of his generation. The Brit has been awarded an acting Golden Globe, 2 Primetime Emmys, a few BAFTAs, and a couple of British Comedy Awards, not to mention the countless other nominations garnered throughout his storied career. So it's good to hear that even with such a lofty resume, Gervais is still a childish jokester behind the scenes. During an episode of his award-winning series Extras, Gervais shared screen time with Kate Winslet. According to Winslet, Gervais did his best to make her break character by breaking wind. She said, "Ricky Gervais is dreadful because he tries to f*** you up. He'll fart in the middle of a scene and he won't crack a smile." The gasp must not have been too bad, however, because Winslet still looks back at her time on Extras with high regard. "I don't think I ever got through a take without peeing myself laughing." We've all been at a gathering where someone inadvertently lets a fart loose. It's uncomfortable, but everyone eventually moves on. When it happened to Alex Moffat on Christmas with the Campbells, though, it wasn't quite so simple. The story comes to us via the film star, Justin Long, who spoke to news.com.au about the incident. "There was a scene where we were shooting late at night. Everybody was a little punchy, you know? And Alex had eaten a bunch of, I forget what they were serving for dinner, but it was something that was giving everybody gas. And this wasn't a one-off, mind you. The problem was that Moffat just could not stop farting." According to Long, Moffat kept acting despite his upset stomach, pausing every now and then to release a rumbler like it had been scripted. Soon enough, Long was joining in and the whole thing turned into a rather stinky competition. Long said, "I tried to squeeze out a few and we were just going back and forth. It was ridiculous. In the end, director Claire Niederpruem had to step in and shut it down." According to Long, she said, "Okay guys, that's really funny, let's do one without all the farts." Following Marion Cotillard's performance in Christopher Nolan's Inception, the French actor reunited with the director for The Dark Knight Rises, and has since starred in a number of big English-language movies, including the World War II romantic drama Allied. One film that the Oscar-winning actor starred in that isn't so well loved, however, is the critically panned video game adaptation Assassin's Creed. And according to co-star Michael Fassbender, the French beauty gave her own review of the film when she broke wind more than once during the making of the film. When the pair sat down with Yahoo to promote the movie, they were asked about any shameful secrets from the set. Fassbender was quick to respond, saying to Cotillard, "You're flatulent, but we're not going to talk about that, that wouldn't be right." Cotillard laughed and playfully scolded her co-star for his oversharing, saying, "Please, let me be a glamorous actress." Fassbender then defended her with a shrug, pointing out that it's a perfectly normal bodily function. "We all fart, let's face it." The In-Betweeners might just be the most iconic British teen comedy ever. The show chronicles the lives of a group of boys as they come of age while attending a typical British school. The show was praised for its realistic and hilarious portrayal of teenage problems, but there was one actor whose performance seemed to get a little too real, if you ask Blake Harrison. In 2016, Harrison sat down with NME and played a game of Who Would You?, which saw him pulling questions out of a bowl and answering frankly. One of those questions was, who would you replace in the In-Betweeners? He didn't hesitate with his answer. That's easy, James, who plays Jay, because he likes to constantly fart just before someone says action. You've got to act through his farts. Harrison goes on to explain that fans of the show will actually be able to tell when Buckley's co-stars are dealing with one of his stinkers during a scene by their subtle reactions.
So go back and watch some of the In-Betweeners and watch if you can see this kind of face during the acting.
Harrison explained that if you do see that kind of face, it's, quote, the face of smelling James's fart whilst you're trying to just act. There's something inherently childish about farts, let's face it. Even when adults rip one, knowing it's a normally bodily function, it will often bring about an irresistible urge to giggle like a child. So it should come as no surprise that when filming Stranger Things, with a cast made up almost entirely of kids, farts were pretty regular on set. According to the show's creators, it was mostly the boys who wouldn't stop farting, so much so that it caused real problems during filming. As revealed in an article in Entertainment Weekly written by the Duffer Brothers, the behavior of the boys began to dip a little as they got toward the latter stages of the first season, much to the frustration of Millie Bobby Brown, the only girl in the main cast at the time. The Duffers record was shooting a scene in the abandoned bus, and one of the boys decides to fart. More than once, it became so toxic in the bus that the crew had to temporarily evacuate.
I don't feel good about this. I don't feel good about this!
Following numerous delays, the Duffer Brothers released a cast-wide memo that urged everyone to get on the ball so they could finish what they started. After our little talk, the boys rallied together and did some of their best, most emotional work on the show. We're proud of them for so many reasons, and this is one of them. It's such a great group of future stars. Farting aside. Hey, at least the farts weren't coming from the Demogorgon. We can't even imagine how bad that would smell. There's no denying that the beautiful Swedish star Alicia Vikander is one of the most talented performers in Hollywood. She has been nominated for both Golden Globes and BAFTAs, and even took home the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her part in The Danish Girl. With such prestigious honors on her resume, it's fair to assume that Vikander goes all in on every role she takes, and that includes the occasional fart. In a 2016 interview with British Vogue, Vikander shed some light on some of the possible repercussions of her impressive work ethic. When asked about her most embarrassing moment, she admitted that she once broke wind while shooting a scene.
I was going to give birth in this scene. We went for take, and I just went for it. And I farted in take because I pushed so hard.
Although she doesn't disclose what film this was shot for, one can imagine that it must have been quite a traumatic experience.